This is the sound of a better life. I'm your host, Maria Gulager, and I found out that when I ask questions related to the meaning of life, questions of life philosophies and practices for a better life, I enter into a realm where I can be me with everything I am. I want you to know that if this episode is the last thing I do, it was well worth it. Because right now, I've got you listening. Welcome to the sound of a better life, Shawn, Roop. Is that how you?
Yes.
Yeah, Shawn, Roop. You are a Tantra teacher.
Yes.
And you are based here in San Diego.
I am.
And you have a website called the Tantra Quest.
Tantra Quest, yeah.
TantraQuest.com. I just love that name.
Thank you. Thank you.
I mean, quest. Yeah. I think it's my favorite word.
You're on a quest.
I am. Aren't we all? But yes, I am. And the word Tantra, I guess, have been calling me throughout the years too.
Really? Okay.
I mean, back in the days, I thought it was something very different than I see it is now. I mean, now I see it more as a philosophical concept, system, theory, than something that has to do with sex, a special way of having sex with a person. Is that accurate?
Yeah. So good to be here with you, by the way. It's good to see you. Yeah, when I first stepped into Tantra, it was in the pursuit of finding how to be a better lover. Just like many people. It was.
Yeah, so what's that?
And I was in a relationship that wasn't going real great. And I thought, you know what? If I learned how to be a better lover, the relationship will go better.
Yeah.
That's what I assumed. And so I went and I was in a dentist office and I was looking at a magazine in Vanity Fair. And there was an article about Sting and his wife Trudy. Yeah. You know the singer Sting?
I do.
And this was back in '99. And it talked about this yogic sexuality. And I want that. I want 8-hour sex. How do I get that? Yeah. So
8 hours sex.
Yeah.
Sound good.
How does that happen?
Yeah.
And so I went online and I searched, and what I found looked more like prostitution and sensual massage than teachers. It was actually very hard for me to find what seemed to be legitimate
Tantra.
Right, whatever that meant.
Yeah,
I mean, based on what I was reading in the magazine.
Yeah.
You know? And so
what did you search for?
A Tantra teacher. I just like Tantra. I just want, where do I find this? You know? And so, and all of these, beautiful women with their breasts exposed and promises of all kinds of lovely ecstasy. And I was like, oh, that's interesting. I guess you have 8-hour sex with them and then you just become enlightened. I don't know how this works. But I just chose the what looked to be the most legitimate person that I could find. Yeah. And it was a woman who turned out that she was a legitimate teacher. And her introduction to me in Tantra came from the place where she was offering what the market wanted, which was sexual teachings. But when I got there and I recognized what she was offering was different, it was a very different session. Very different than what I was thinking it was going to be about. So I went to learn how to give to a woman.
That's what you learned?
I wanted to learn how to give better to a woman.
You learned that from her?
I was trying to.
She gave you a session. She was going to learn to give. She was going to
teach me how to give to a woman better.
All right. Well, did that save your relationship? I have to ask.
Well, here's the interesting part. She actually gave me homework before the session.
Yeah.
And she taught me about breath. And she asked me to do these breath practices. And then she taught me about mindfulness. And they were these things that she offers every one of her clients. Mm-hmm. But I, being the student that I was, took them to heart. And I worked my exercises and practices that she gave me and walked in with those already in place. And she said to me, wow, You actually did homework?
You did it.
So she asked me to massage her. She just rolled over on her back, on her belly, and she said, just give me a massage. Don't try to do anything. I just want to see how you move energy and share. And I said, okay. So I did. And I was just breathing. I was breathing and making sound, and I was being really conscious about my touch, and I was being very focused with energy. She rolled over after about 15 minutes and said, stop. I said, okay. And she goes, why are you here? And I said, I'm here to learn how to give to a woman. She goes, But I hear you, but why are you here? And I said, I guess to learn Tantra. She goes, but why are you really here? Like, just tell me, why are you here? I go, I don't know. Why am I here? She goes, how are you at receiving? And I said, oh, no. I am not here to receive. And she goes, I think we just found out why you're here. The very first teaching that I got around Tantra was in this engagement that we had. She then went on to say, when you give, you're in control. But when you receive, you're surrendered.
When you give, you're in control.
And when you receive, you surrender.
You have to surrender, yeah.
And I recognized that all I did was give. That's all I did. I was totally controlling all my relationships. I was controlling all my experiences, whether it be with family or whether it be with lovers. It didn't matter. I was the giver.
And you thought you had to learn to give better. But you had to learn to not give?
I had to learn to receive.
Yeah.
To surrender, to let go. To actually let and trust other human beings to hold me too. That was one of the first teachings.
Wow.
The next teaching I got later on in the session was, she asked, how are you at having a relationship with yourself? And I had no idea what she was talking about.
What is that?
And she basically said, it would be really important for you to learn how to have a relationship with you that gives you what you give to other people. Because if you're not having a healthy relationship with self, how can you offer love to another person? It's polluted. 2 first teachings of Tantra right there. And those still stick with me 18 years later.
Receive and be in a relationship with yourself.
Learn how to trust and receive, and also how to have a relationship and self-love with myself. Like how to really love my life and be in enjoyment of it.
And your website says some of that too. And I want to read a quote from it.
Okay.
Because it's very full, the text.
Okay.
I mean, I love it, but yeah, I need to ask you about it.
Yeah, no problem.
Okay. So living life in the blissful moments of awareness allows less karmic debt to be gathered, as our eyes are more open to see both the inner and outer universe. The ability to see all that life has to offer is so powerful, and an insight that guides us towards simple joy and bliss. And I want to stop there and ask you about this concept of bliss.
Okay.
Is that what we want to achieve or get a hold on in Tantra? Is it bliss that we want to find?
No. So in Tantra, there's three it's called the 3 levels, okay, of attainment.
Yeah.
And it has to be done in this order. Okay? So the first one is pleasure. The second one is joy, and the third one is bliss. Pleasure, joy, and bliss.
And that's why I think bliss, that's the ultimate.
Great.
That's where we want to go.
It's so interesting because you can't try to go to bliss. Bliss will show up all on its own. You can't manufacture it, and you can't try to make it happen. Bliss happens naturally. When there's pleasure, that leads you to joy, and joy will lead you to bliss. And then bliss will fade, which means you return back to pleasure to find more joy, which will find bliss again. Bliss is when all the things come together and then go away at the same time. Nothing matters. You're blissfully alive. There's no doing, there's no being, there's no have to. That's not something you attain. That's something you welcome. That's something you put your arms out and you hug it when it comes, because there's no place to go.
And I need to ask you, is that a way of life?
Yeah,
bliss,
it is.
Or is it during these sessions? Because that's the two dimensions of Tantra, as far as my head is concerned. It's like this, that.
So Tantra, great. So let's just take it this way. Tantra is it's not a philosophy, it's not a science, it's not a religion.
Okay.
And yet it has religious aspects, it has philosophy in it, and it has science in it. But it's none of those things.
Okay.
It's feminine. Tantra is a matriarchal system. It's feminine in its approach. So that means there is no attainment. There's no trying. There's no doing in it. It's all about returning to the beingness. And in that state of being, so many things are possible. Bliss is one of them. So is sadness. So is anger. So is happiness. They're all welcome. Nothing's denied. So the hardest part, and this is so unromantic, by the way, a lot of people don't like this, but when it comes to bliss, okay, just like love, it says the moment you feel it and you're aware of it, let go. Because if I hold on to it, it's not going to be of the purest state. It also says the same thing about anger. The moment you feel, be angry, but the moment you feel anger, let it go. The moment you feel happiness, let it in. But the moment you really feel it, let it go. You don't have to hold on to any of it. Why? Because there's so much more behind all of it. There's constantly a flood of all these human experiences that are right there. So if I have bliss and I'm holding on to bliss, right now I'm making my arms like I'm hugging something. If I'm holding on to bliss, that means all the other emotions are waiting right behind me. They're just waiting. And the problem is that if they wait too long, they'll push the way in. So let's say I'm holding on to bliss really hard and sadness is right outside the door. It's going to kick the door down. And when it does, I'm going to have to deal with that for a very long time because it's flooding in. It's got all this pressure and energy behind it. And so it shares that if a human being chooses to hold on to an emotion too long, what happens is the body becomes responsible for that emotion. And in doing so, we lose attentiveness or awareness to the rest of life. So much going on around us. There's been times where I've been so blissful, I've missed things. I've been unaware. Missed things like connection or food or sleep because I'm just in bliss.
Have you been too blissful?
Totally.
It's been a problem?
Yes. And I've met people who are searching for bliss so deeply that I call them bliss bunnies because if it's not in bliss, it's not good. They're just chasing bliss. But bliss is everywhere. It's in every breath. It's right there. And if I'm not seeking it, but I invite it in, it'll be a good friend. It does. It's a very good friend. But just like a very good friend, it doesn't have to stay there. I can let it go. It'll come back. It's a good friend. I have to trust that. I have to trust the abundance that bliss can come back. But some people find it and they hold on to it because they don't want to let it go ever. And that's where attachments come in. And attachments to anything is the same. If I attach myself to someone or something, I may lose it because it's going to want to go.
I'm just going to mention the noise here.
Yeah.
It's because we're in San Diego and the planes, they just fly so close to
Yeah, I'm right next to the airport here and we have a single runway. So the interesting part to this is that they'll come in 1, 2, 3 and then they'll stop for a while because planes have to take off.
Yeah.
And then they'll come back. And
but I noticed it when I flew in that you're so close.
I know.
Like, I'm so close to that building.
You flew right over our house.
Yeah. Oh, but okay, let me give you an example because today I think I've thought maybe 4 or 5 times.
Yes.
I thought, I'm so happy. Maybe this is the best day of my life.
Nice. Wow.
That's what I thought today.
That's so beautiful.
Yeah. So I'm filled with so much positive energy today. And I'm like underlining today because yesterday
wasn't.
I think I thought maybe 10 times, I'm going to give up.
Oh, wow.
Yes, I'm going to give up. I'm just going to leave my equipment with the security guards because they're not going to, they have to check through all of my stuff. And I'm just going to give it up. And there's a problem with my credit cards being declined.
Oh.
And, what do you want? Do you want my birthright? Anything? I'll give it up. My social security number. That's sad. When I get overwhelmed and frustrated. And so when I think of bliss and why it seems appealing to me is that there might be some permanence there, because my life is, I don't feel I'm unstable, but when I feel really happy, I have a remembrance. I remember.
That's right.
That I sometimes.
That's right. Your brain goes there.
I sometimes get really overwhelmed and I'm not happy.
Yeah. Okay. So we had a snafu with timing today.
Yeah.
Yes?
Yeah.
So you're having this blissful day.
Yes.
And then you come to my house and you're knocking on the door. And you're wondering, where are you? What's going on? Yeah. Oh no. What's happening? This time's ticking on.
Yeah.
Yes? Now, was the bliss still there?
Well, the frustration kind of won me over in the end, but I was more prepared for it today. I climbed a hill to get here because Google Maps, it sent me on a different route, so I had to climb up. Right. And I was like, I can do this. I'm not sad.
Right.
I kind of held on to the joy because I feel good today, so I can manage anything.
Great. So it's interesting because you used the word joy that time. I held on to the joy.
Yeah.
Okay, let's go back to the pleasure, joy, and bliss. Okay? So, Tantra says it's like a pyramid. Okay? So at the bottom of the pyramid is pleasure. And at the bottom of the pyramid, it's the largest amount of space. So that's where the foundation is in pleasure. So it says, increase the amount of pleasure you can have in life. And that includes food, touch, conversation, experiences. It's all about engaging with the external life and finding pleasure within the external. So like when you go to a shop and your hand just runs across the fabrics and you do it just because it feels good. There's no reason for it. It just feels good, Or when you stop and smell a flower, that's all about pleasure. You're just allowing the smell to come in.
So it has to do with your senses
of the outer world. Of the outer world, the external. Yeah. Yes? So we increase the amount of pleasure that we can have because not all things that are pleasurable will bring us to joy. Not all. Some do. Not all of them do. So we increase the amount of pleasure, so we go to the next level, which is joy. So what we want to do is have as many experiences of pleasure, which then some of those will lead us to joy. Now, joy is when we take that external pleasure and internalize it. So now it goes this way. Now you get the chills in your body and you experience an internal happiness. It just is bubbling up. You don't even know why. It just is happening. You're connected to yourself in a way where the external is now not as important because now you're having a joyful internal experience, which means the hill's not making you unhappy.
Yeah, the climbing.
Right. You're like, oh, wow, this is just different. I'm having a different experience right now. Yeah. And so that's joy. Okay. So the external no longer is dictating your pleasure. You're having an internal experience. Okay. Pleasure then leads to bliss. And that's the top of the pyramid, the smallest piece.
Pleasure or joy?
So, I'm sorry, pleasure, joy, bliss.
Yes.
So pleasure, not all joy will lead us to bliss. So we want to have as much pleasure, which means it gives more opportunities for joy, which gives us an opportunity to experience bliss. Bliss is when the internal and the external cancel out and there is no more. You're literally in the side, like you just get overwhelmed with it all. There is no feeling of internal, external. Everything merges together.
I don't think I ever felt that.
And that's where your eyes roll back in a sense of awe, as if you're staring at the eyes of the creation. And you recognize it's you. You are it. You are part of the whole. There's no separation between you. You can't even tell the difference between where your body ends and where it begins in the existence. It's all merged together. That kind of bliss is, it almost looks weird from the outside. Like if you saw someone who was in bliss, you'd look at them and go, oh, what's wrong with that person? Because it's so outwardly, it's something incredible. So
bliss is meeting yourself.
Yes. And the creation at the same time. All of who you are and all of the universe merge together. No difference. There's no separation. Masculine, feminine, fierce and graceful, light and dark. It all comes together at the exact same moment, and it's so incredibly gorgeous.
And it happens after many years of Tantra?
No, it doesn't. No. In fact, that's the incredible part. Like, there's no way to get there. It's just about increasing the amount of joy you have, because joy will take you there.
It's a pyramid, right? Yeah.
It happens all by itself, but you have to have the amount of opportunities to get there. So more pleasure leads to more joy, gives you the opportunity to experience bliss. That's how it's explained. And it's not something to attain, and there's no way to get there. It's just something that naturally occurs, just like it naturally occurs for your hand to touch the fabric. Just like it naturally occurs for you to continue to smile when you're walking up a hill. It's just amazing.
But it's natural, but you still have to like be aware.
You can't not be there.
No, you have to like be aware.
No, you don't. No, that's another part. That's so it's embarrassing that you can be completely stupid and still be blissed out.
Oh yeah.
It's a natural process.
All right. But so you say another thing in this quote about getting out of our own
way. Yeah, it's a big piece of my work.
Yeah, I don't know if I should read it. I should maybe just ask you the question.
Sure.
Because that quote is, I mean, that way of saying it, get out of your own way. I've heard that.
Sure.
In other environments.
Yeah, religions and spirituality.
Church, yeah, in my old Pentecostal church, not at all in the conservative church I grew up in, but in the more modern churches, they would say, let Jesus take the wheel.
Got it. Surrender.
Yeah, surrender. Mm-hmm. So it's sort of the same message, get out of your own way. But I feel like you mean something slightly different.
It's a different approach. It is.
Like, because who would then take over in this place?
Right. Good question. So getting out of your way. Like, for instance, just before I saw you, I was working with someone and they kept asking me, how do I blink? How do I do this? How do I do that? Right. So, they're recognizing they have a lot of emotions that they've stuffed down. Yep. Over time, they've just taken anger or sadness, and they've stuffed it down in their body. And so I recognize it. Like, you have some emotions that are stuffed inside your body. And she goes, yeah. So how do I remove it? And I said, the how is the wrong question. What's in the way is the right question. What's in your way? Not how to, what's in the way. And by getting out of the way, by understanding what's keeping you from wanting to be free of that, is the solution. It's the very answer. So it's not giving up to something else. It's about asking the correct question. How do I get out of my own way of the life that I'm not happy with? If I'm recognizing I'm not in a happy relationship, it's not working for me. Yeah. Well, how can I fix it? Wrong question. What's in the way? What's in the way of you enjoying the relationship? And if you can answer that question, you're going to find 100 answers that are correct. There's 100 solutions to this problem. Not just one, many.
Okay, so getting out of your own way is about asking the right question.
It's about reframing from the intellectual question, which is, how do I, to the embodied question of what's in the way. It puts you in your body. It actually literally puts you into a state of not trying to intellect your way out of something. So I like to think of it this way. There are thousands of solutions to any problem. All right. But if I'm focused on just finding one of those solutions, I may miss all the other hundreds of ones that are available to me because my mind is saying, that's not right. That's not right. I'm looking for this one. The one that I've identified as the right one.
Yeah.
And so it may or may not be the right solution. I don't know. But that's all my intellect is saying.
Yes. So what's a different approach? I want to know.
Great.
Because I recognize that too.
Good. Perfect.
Yes.
So by me asking, what's in the way for me knowing the solution? What's going on? What's keeping me from having access to the very question I want answered? Do I have a belief system?
Yeah.
Do I have emotions? Is there a relationship that's stuck here? Is there energy that's stuck here? Is there a behavior or pattern that's stuck? Like there's a lot of what could be in the way. Yeah. So I'm more interested in what's the roadblock rather than the answer. The destination there's many. Like there's lots of places to go. This is Tantra though. It's never going to give you the answer. It wants you to be on the journey and be in the adventure and keep your eyes aware and open to all that's happening.
But so some of these roadblocks, is it something that you can fix on your own? I mean, sometimes it's society, right? Sometimes it's just hard to find a place to live.
Yeah.
Something like that.
Right.
And so how do you deal with that?
Yeah. So it's an interesting place because again, Tantra would say that I am the creator of my experience of this life. Yeah. So what am I creating? Am I letting someone else dictate and create for me, or am I creating? So my government's not going to tell me how to live. My relationship's not going to dictate how my happiness or my sadness is. My mother doesn't have that much power over me unless I allow these things to let me do that. Now, of course, there's things like laws and there's borders and there's relationship agreements and there's family dynamics. All these are true. That's all true. But it's how I respond to them. It's how I work with them. It's how I be with them. So when I first started learning Tantra, there was a lot of liberation that came in. And I really felt that if I were to continue this path, that I was going to be really isolated because I was I was becoming less and less societal. And so I just kept going. I chose that path. I'm going to be different. I'm going to be a rebel. I'm doing this. And then I met my guru, my real guru. And when I received her blessing, finally, to teach and to share, I was expecting that I was going to be able to go to India, open an ashram, and be a guru. And she said, I'm taking back your spiritual name. You're now going to be Shawn again. Because I have a big spiritual name. I'm taking your spiritual name away. You're going to be Shawn. I need you to go back to America, put on the jeans, and put on the shirt. I need you to be normal, and I need you to teach this stuff to normal people. I'm like, no. I want to go do...
Yeah, the special...
I want to be the special one.
Yeah.
I want to be the rebel.
Yeah.
And she said, that's not your path. You have a way of taking the ancient wisdoms and putting them in such a way that people who have it today listening can understand it. I need you to do this. But she said it in a very thick Indian accent. It is important that you go back and be yourself. You need to be Shawn again. And so she was offering me something that I didn't see as a gift at the time. In fact, I felt I was being punished. And I wanted the robes, and I wanted the turban, and I wanted the long beard, and I wanted to sit in the sun and have people feed me grapes.
Yeah.
But what she asked me to do was far more challenging path that isn't challenging for me. It is for some, but it wasn't for me. It's true. I can be funny, and I can be approachable, and I can take ancient things in Sanskrit and break it down into a very basic Western concept. Wow. So that people can maybe use it today. That they don't have to wait 20 years in an ashram. Does it make sense what I'm saying?
It makes so much sense. I'm just thinking, how did she know that?
Because she's a guru. She was crazy. And she was interesting.
She just felt like that.
She only had 3 students, and I was one of them.
Wow.
And she found me. And she called me up one day after I was already teaching, and I had an ashram in Hawaii.
You had one?
I had one. This was before her.
Ah, okay.
And I had an ashram in Hawaii, and she called me up and said, I am your new teacher. You must come see me. And I go, well, who are you? What's your website?
Yeah.
And how much do you cost?
Yeah.
You know, why are you calling me? And she goes, I don't charge anything. Please just come. You must come to Canada. I'm like, Canada? I'm not going to Canada.
Was she in Canada?
Yes. I'm in Hawaii. You know how far that is for me? I'm not going to Canada. It's very important. You must come now. It's very, very good that I found you. And I said, yeah, I'm not interested. And I hung up on her.
Because we're so used to it, you have to buy something that people don't.
I didn't trust any of that.
No.
I couldn't sleep that night. She was just in my space. I just couldn't shake it. She was all over me. And I just said, I should call her back.
Yeah.
So I did. I just called her back, and she was just as she didn't care that I hung up. She's like, yes, please come to Canada. It's very important. I go, how much is it going to cost? It won't cost you anything. Just come, you silly boy. Just come. It's very important. So I said, well, it's not so easy for me. It's going to be thousands of dollars for me to get there. And I have things I'm doing here. So, okay, you just come when you need to come. But it's very important. Must come. And so I did. And I never met the other 2 students. We weren't allowed to know each other's names, and we never met. And when she died, the will had a very specific thing in there, is that that we'd never say her name again. So I call her Chandra, but that's not her name. That we never say her name again, so that she can leave. She wanted to get out of here, like her energy to get off the planet.
Yeah.
And the next thing was that we never try to find each other, because our paths are necessary, that we don't rely on each other, that we do something different. We needed to stay separate, because otherwise she thought we would come together and just stay together.
Yeah,
we were just like,
yeah,
you know?
Yeah, but you needed to...
We needed to be separate.
Go out in the world.
Yeah.
Was there a third one?
There was 3. There was 3. Oh, no, those were yeah, there was a third one. The third one was also to be sure to continue to carry on our own learning, not to stay with what we just had. Like, continue the process of evolving. Don't just be what you think you are. She had the foresight before she died to write all this down.
Don't just be who you think you are.
Because it's so easy to go, I've received this blessing, this is who I am, I can call it in now. I can just sit and be lazy.
Yeah.
And she asks us to not do that. I don't know who those 2 other women are. I know they're women. I just don't know who they are. I don't know if they're American or if they're European or if they're Canadian. I have no idea. Apparently, one of them came to one of my classes, and that's how she knew about me. But I don't know who it was.
That must be a little bit annoying not to know.
There was a little bit, but then there's a beauty in it.
Yeah.
There's like I surrender. It's like, okay, cool. Yeah. You know, she's got it. She's pretty smart. Yeah. Yeah. Exactly. Whatever. It's not important. It's important for me to be me. That's a lot.
Yeah. Wow.
Yeah. So there was times where I'd be with her and be very blissful, and there was times I'd be with her and be painful. There was times with her I'd be confused, like absolutely.
For how long did you study?
Well, it was a relationship of 3.5 years, but it was interesting because I couldn't just stay with her for 3.5 years because I had other things I was doing. So I would come and visit her, and it became more. But this is how crazy it'd be. So I go to Canada. I had planned it. I went and got my rental car, got my hotel room, checked in, got in my car, drove to her house, knock on the door. She opens the door. Oh, very good to see you. Hold on a second. She doesn't invite me in. She's never done that. I'm sitting outside going, what am I doing? She comes back out with a box, and it was with a watch in it. And she opened it up. She handed me this watch, and she goes, everything you need to know about your next lesson is in this watch. Please go home and meditate. I said, what? I'm supposed to be here for 9 days.
Was it like an Apple Watch?
A what?
An Apple?
Apple? No, it was before Apple Watches. No, it was a stupid little Timex watch. It was just...
I don't know how much it will give you if it's not an Apple
Believe it or
Watch.
not, it was just an analog watch with hands. And she said, meditate on this. This is everything you need to know. And so I was so angry because I had spent thousands of dollars for this crazy guru, and she could have FedExed it. She just sent it in the mail. What are you doing? Yeah, but no, this is how she was. And she was a very interesting woman.
Did it mean you had to meditate on time?
No, it wasn't about time. It was interesting. It was about... I'm happy to share what that is. The lesson she was offering me was within the watch face, there's 3 hands, and they're constantly in motion, but there's never balance. Everything's in motion, but there's never balance. And if I'm continually looking for symmetry or balance, I'll never find it. This is Tantra.
That's the bliss again. Like, don't hold on to it.
Don't hold on to it. There's a beauty in the chaos that's so organized that it's beyond my own brain. The chaos, I look at it, I go, it's chaos. It's like jazz. Like some people listen to jazz and they can't hear anything other than a lot of squawking notes flying all over the place. But when you surrender and let go and you just listen to it instead of trying to make it make sense, all of a sudden there's a beauty to it. It's just like that. And that's sex. And that's love. And that's crying. It's all of these things. It's the night sky. It's the sunshine. It's watching a child cry. It's all of it. It's the same thing. So,
but so why are we so worried about sex? Why do we care so much about sex?
Okay, great.
It's all the same.
Perfect. So there's 7 chakras. Yeah. Okay. So each chakra governs a specific area in the body or in life too. Okay. So there's keywords to each chakra. So I'll just go through them very quickly. Is that all right?
Yeah. Absolutely.
First chakra. First chakra is about, the keywords are safety, trust, security, and everything like money, material things. Yeah. So earthy, material things, first chakra. And that's located at the anus and the perineum. It's in the lower part of the body.
Root of your spine.
Root. And then there's the second chakra. And the second chakra is all about creativity, sexuality, and then here's the important one, emotionality. The emotions are in the second chakra. Second chakra is in the genitals up to the navel. So it governs our sex center. Emotions are connected to sex. It's important. I'll get back there. Yeah. Third chakra, ego, will, self-esteem. This is the belly.
It's the belly.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep. Fourth chakra is the chest, moving up. A lot of people associate it's from the xiphoid process or that place just where the rib cage comes together, all the way up to the collarbone. This whole area is the fourth chakra, the heart and the lungs, and that's all about attachments and connection. That includes love and belief systems, but all of that stuff is heart. Okay, and then there's the throat chakra, which is the neck and governs the mouth as well as the ears, anything in there, and that's about communication. And expression. And expression is not just what we say, but also how we act, our behaviors and our personal expression of who we are. Singing and writing, that all can be governed within that. And then the sixth chakra is the third eye. That space it also governs the eyes, but it's the inner vision as well. What we see outward as well as what we see in. That includes psychic ability and intuition. And then the last one is spirituality, which is the crown. The crown chakra is like our spiritual passport, if you will. And it just sits right on top of the head.
That is actually outside of ourselves.
Some say it's outside of us. Others say it's resting right on top, like someone balancing a plate on top of their head, right. Just sitting right there. Yeah. So, and based on the particulars, the important part is, why is sex so important? Well, number one, all of us are a product of an orgasm.
Yeah.
Every single one of us.
Yeah. I guess. I didn't think about that before. I was like, wonder if there was an orgasm. But yeah, okay, sure. Yes. Of course, yeah.
Yeah, I know. One-sided orgasm, okay?
Yes, exactly.
Darn it.
One of them had one.
Okay, so there's a product of an orgasm in there. Number two is that sexuality is also the place where Tantra has found it has a similar effect to no-minded meditation. So I'll go there for a second, okay? In Buddhism and Zen, one of the pinnacle practices is no-mindedness. All right? No-mindedness is hard to do in a meditation.
Yeah.
Tantra found a way out of that cycle and found it easier, which is in the top place of pleasure, orgasmic pleasure. There's no mind. It's the same thing. So its teachings, its sexual teachings, are about how to stay in that no-minded state. How to extend that, or not the orgasm, the place before orgasm. The place before orgasm, the brain it's empty. It's a void. We go into our body, and it can have the exact same effect of the Zen meditator in a no-minded meditation. It's just more fun.
It's a lot more fun.
So there's another piece to that.
Yeah.
But to understand tantric sexuality, one has to completely redefine what sex is. We have to take our societal concept of sex and work with it in a totally different way. Because it's not about love, and it's not about just having pleasure. It's literally a devotional act.
So if we think about what you said about the second chakra,
yeah.
So it's related to
emotions and our creativity and sexuality. So some believe that we would never deal with our emotions if it wasn't with sex. We would never deal with it. We would stuff it away and never have to work with it. So I'll ask you, have you ever had an experience where you're just having sex and you just teared up? You just cried for no reason. Yeah. Have you ever had that?
Yeah.
That's just stirring of emotions. That's all that is. Had nothing, it may not have had anything to do with your partner.
If it's really orgastic, I become so emotional.
That's exactly what you're accessing at that point. And so Tantra feels that that's your birthright. That's important as a human being, to be able to have a place to really work with those and not feel pain. To not have to grind and get into something hard like so many people do. Mm-hmm. Like, this is a way to have pleasure access something that might be scary. That might be challenging. But there can be a way to get there and work with it really effective.
Yeah, because then in Tantra you would not ejaculate.
So that's Taoism, by the way.
Okay.
And that's the Chinese system.
I come with a lot of assumptions.
I got it. It's fine. It's okay. It's perfect, because that's what the media has done to this. And also a lot of my peers in the New Age community has done this.
It's a practice.
Right.
Some do it.
I got it. And so Taoism is more of a scientific approach for longevity of men. Mm-hmm. And one of the things about that is to not ejaculate so that you don't release your life force. So what it teaches is how to in-ejaculate. So they still ejaculate, but it goes into their bladder, which means they've reabsorbed the life force. They pee it out later. It's weird.
Right.
Okay? Yeah. I'm not a Taoist. Right. I've studied Taoism. I'm not a Taoist. Tantra, on the other hand, is more interested in extending the orgasm. It's not to say you don't orgasm. It's choice. And it gives skill and tools for how to stay connected and extend that connection. And whether it's connection to myself through self-pleasuring, or when I'm engaged with a partner, then I can extend that experience. And that means if I don't orgasm, the connection continues. It keeps going. What I mean by that is if I'm with my lover, mm-hmm. and we engage in sex and in pleasure, and we go through that experience, but there's no release orgasm that I offer. I as a man do not ejaculate. Then when we separate, there's still a connection. We're still, but we've just stretched it. We stretch it, and then we're still there. We're still there. So that means that maybe we come back together later on that day, and we're still there. It goes like this. We're just right back to where we were before. Sex? Yes. We don't have to have sex, but the energy of the sex that we were doing is still there. Okay. Yeah. It could lead to sex, but it doesn't have to. The intimacy is the place that we just created. And there's magic in that. There's spirituality in that. There's depth in that. And that's what Tantra is talking about. It could be sex. It doesn't have to be sex. The sex opens the door. It's not the journey. It's not the destination. It just opens the door. For connection. For connection and devotional understanding of things. like spiritual, like a true sense of spirituality that's tangible. That's not just like, oh God, but instead like, oh, I'm feeling.
And this
God
is something
everywhere.
you can feel even though you don't have a particular way of having sex.
That's right.
Because I think I felt that, but I didn't have like tantric sex.
So Tantra, well, you probably were. So and the reason why I say that is because Tantra is not something you teach. I don't really teach Tantra. I mean, I'm a Tantra teacher, but actually what I'm doing is helping people remember. I just help people remember what our natural state is.
Yeah.
Tantra is just the natural state. That's all. That's what it actually says. The particular lineage that I hold, which is called Mahamudra, it says it's all about returning to the natural state. Now, the natural state isn't the second nature. It's the natural nature. It's the first state of who we are. Not something you learn, something you are. We all are.
But sex is complicated. I mean,
yeah, but why?
Especially in modern times.
But why?
We don't have a long marriage, necessarily anymore.
Yeah.
But
why is sex complicated?
Well, because I get attached.
That's not the complication.
Or maybe I don't love the person that I'm having sex with,
Great.
and then I become sad.
So that's just awareness and choosing well.
Yeah, I know. It's just me who's complicated, actually. It's not sex.
No, we're humans. We can make it complicated, but sex isn't complicated. This is what I feel so sad about. Sex has got the bad rap. Sex is just this innocent thing that's going, what? I'm just doing my thing. Why is everyone so charged about me?
So in an ideal world, would it be recommendable to just have sex with anyone?
No, not anyone.
That you felt attracted to?
No. Attraction's not, that's drugs. Attraction is drugs.
Really?
Yeah.
But, I mean, yeah, it's chemistry and you like
chemistry is drugs, exactly.
You need that, right?
No,
Before
you don't.
You sleep with someone?
No. It's nice to have that.
Okay, good.
It's nice to have that.
Yeah, I feel that.
But if I don't have that, then there's other things. And the question is okay, so we talked about the 7 chakras, okay? In the ancient days, it said to mate with someone, whether it be for one night or for the rest of your life, you need at least 4 chakras to connect. Not 1, not 2, 4. At least 4. You don't need all 7. You just need 4. It helps to have more than the 4, but you don't need more than 4. But in our society, people are running off of 4th chakra, love, 2nd chakra, sex. This is the majority of how people relate right now. Yeah. Those 2 chakras.
That's what we're looking for.
Love and sexual attraction.
Yeah.
Uh-oh. What about communication?
Oh, yeah. What
about a lifestyle, like in the sense of money and home? What about spirituality? What about how we intuit with each other? How we see the world? How we see our worlds? What about our egos?
So this is what becomes important in the conversation that leads up to sex. Is that what you're saying?
What I'm saying is sex is a byproduct of something that works really well. Okay. So I'm not searching for sex partners. What I'm searching for are human beings that I'm connected to. And then I see, is sex part of that? That's just that's 1/7 of the equation. Maybe I'm not meant to have sex with that person. I could be really turned on by them, but sex is not where we're going. Maybe it's about communication. Maybe it's about all the other things that are working. You see? So I don't let sex rule me because it will want to. My sex will want to rule me. And
I've sometimes felt,
it gets hard.
Sometimes I've considered if I'm a sex addict.
Right.
You know, I have my dry periods.
Yeah.
But once I can find myself in a period where I'm like, I need, where I want to.
And that's probably because there's some suppression that's going on already.
And because I love that
high,
that state, it's getting high. I'm Pisces in astrology, so
I get it. So Tantra is taking all that stuff and saying, let's get sober, let's not get drunk, let's stay sober in all of it. Yeah. And I'm a really weird guy. I am 46 years old, and I've never had a drink, and I've never used in my entire life.
What was the last one?
I've never used drugs.
No. Okay.
I've never had a drink, and I've never used drugs.
No.
And it wasn't because, or not. I don't know. But the point is that it's a choice that I'm making every day because I constantly find joy, liberation, and freedom everywhere. I don't need social lubrication. I don't need something to... I don't need it. I can find it.
The high, it's everywhere?
Everywhere. It's all over the place. I just have to choose it. I have to literally choose it. It's everywhere. And so I'll go to bars and people are like, hey, they'll say to someone else, you're drunk, go ahead and dance on the bar. And they won't. I'll be like, I will. I don't care.
Exactly. No, that's how I'm.
I don't need to be drunk to take my clothes off in the public. I don't care. Like, whatever. It's not a bother to me, but I'm not in a repressed state.
No. Yeah.
But that's because Tantra has given me the permission to drop this stuff. So now all of a sudden, I'm 3 breaths away from orgasm right now. Not ejaculation, but like literally my body going into orgasmic state. Now, what keeps me from that?
Self-control.
There is a bit of self-control, but also society, because it's not appropriate for me to be walking around going, hey, like, it's not appropriate to be doing that everywhere.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah, I hate being appropriate.
Right. So, but I understand that but part of my thing is I'm not so polite anymore. I used to be polite. I used to be a really polite person. I'm less polite now. I'm not rude, but I'm just not erring on politeness. Because what I find is politeness also causes me to people please. And when I people please, I'm very unhealthy.
Yes.
Does that make sense?
Yes, it does.
This is Tantra. This is one of the things it's offered me. It says, walk your path. And who cares what anyone thinks about your path? Be on your path.
And this is how I think.
Yes.
And it's what I say and what I stand for.
Yeah.
And yet I find myself in situations.
Because you want love, you want acceptance, you want ease.
I was at a really, really bad date. Maybe my worst date ever.
I'm so sorry to hear that.
Yes. But then I'm like, I learned from this. I learned from this. And also I forgot my glasses back in Miami. So, you know, when I'm on Tinder.
Oh, no.
I think it's because of that, actually, because I couldn't see him properly. Anyway, it's a joke. But so we had this date and I find myself, even before, and that's the thing with intuition, even before I felt, maybe I should cancel.
Yes.
I'm like, well, but I promised him.
Yeah.
You know, he's already gone to the place that we're meeting. Okay. And I find myself staying at our date, even though I don't want to be there. I find myself, you know, taking a walk with him afterwards, even though I don't want to. And like,
polite.
So much politeness. And so what I want to ask you how you know that you love yourself, because I love myself, but then I do something like that and I think, what was that, Maria?
Maria, what you just shared with me is how loyal you are. You're a very loyal person.
Too loyal.
Too loyal.
Yeah.
So that loyalty has to be it doesn't have to be. The invitation for you is to bring that loyalty to you, to be that dedicated to you, to choose you first. If the date's not working in the first 5 minutes, then just go, thank you so much for the time, but I'm already telling you right now it's not working. So I'm just going to go see a movie. Bye.
But you know, sometimes it's also about being in integrity with myself. I'm like, this is who I am. I keep my word. Great. I will sit this.
Yeah,
you know what I mean?
Great. It's your word and it's causing you problems. Do you understand what I just said? So it's to a fault. It's not that you're bad. I get what you're saying, but your word is not good if you're in resentment that you're holding to your word. That's not healthy. It's not polite. It's not even nice. It's not even fun. It's none of it.
It's not loving yourself.
And it's definitely not loving yourself. No. Loving yourself is choosing you. It's choosing you to be healthy. It's choosing you to be well. It's choosing you to be in enjoyment. It's choosing you to be in an environment that really works for you. And it's also choosing you to enjoy all of who you are, not just parts of who you are. So if your intuition is saying, check please, but your word is like saying, which is your ego saying, you know what? I said yes to this date. I'm going to go ahead and stay through with it. Yeah. Would you like to go for a walk? No, not really. Yes, I'll go for a walk. This is not you. You're not loving you. No, instead, you're caretaking someone else.
I definitely felt I wasn't.
Right. It's understandable. And we all, I mean, I do it too, believe me. I get it. But that's where Tantra gave me a gift that I had no idea that I was going to get, which is to choose to have a relationship with me so that I can truly have relationships with others.
And so I was once asked, how do I know that I love myself? And I do find it hard to answer. I mean, because you can say all of this, but how does the individual know inside yourself?
You feel it. It's a feeling.
You feel it?
Yeah, and it's also you have to go through the hard part of where you don't love yourself, where you don't like yourself, where you're in judgment, where you want to change, where things don't work, and then choose to love that. Even love that, knowing that you're in change or in growth and expansion, to love the things that aren't there yet, to accept you. It's acceptance. If I can accept me, then I can accept so many things in my world. If I'm not accepting me, I will judge a lot of things in my world.
Yeah, right.
So acceptance is a really big piece to this. So if I can accept me, then I can accept so much more around me. But if I don't accept me, I'm going to be like really challenged. So I had to go through that. I had to figure out that, wow, I'm a people pleaser. Wow, I don't like that about myself. That I lie to myself. I'm pretty truthful with other people. I lie to me a lot. I don't like that part about me. I don't like that I lie to me. I don't like that I have an intuition and I'm not using it. That's another one I had to go through. I had magic and I was denying it, just denying what I was capable of. There were so many pieces to that. So there's a process to this whole thing.
Is it possible to love? I have too many questions. I'm trying to sort them in my head. But just in addition to that, can you love yourself without if no one else loves you?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. In fact, it's probably the only way. Because if I'm still looking, okay, so I want you to love me. Let's say I want you to love me. And then you give me the data that tells me what will work for you to feel that you can give me love.
Yeah.
I'm just adjusting. I'm not really being me. I'm being what you want me to be.
That's how we do it all the time.
Bingo.
Yeah.
That's not being you. That's
tell
being
me what you want.
Right.
What do you want?
Yes. Just tell me what you want. What you really, really want. and that becomes a problem, right? So if I know, okay, I find that one of the biggest pieces I see in the world that's a problem is neediness. Needs. So
desperation?
It becomes wanting and needing to a place of where they're not giving themselves, like a person's not giving themselves or meeting their own needs or their wants. Instead, they're looking for other people to do it for them. And then they're basically disempowered because it's all based on if another person will meet them and do what they want them to do. So what I found was if I can meet my own needs, I have so much more to offer a relationship, co-creativity. Like I can come to the table without needs. I can build something with someone. But if I need you to love me, we're in trouble.
Yeah.
So I want to love myself so I can show up that way.
And I mean, consciously, usually you wouldn't say it like that. But then a lot of things goes on inside of you.
I know.
Programming and wanting to.
People make lists.
And be good for others.
Yeah, that's right. Right. And so people make lists of what they want out of a relationship. Right. They write it all out. And on the top of it, it says what I want from my partner.
Yeah. I've done that so many times.
Great. You know what I would tell people to do? Scratch out what I want from my partner and just put what I want from myself. And start working that list today.
What I'm willing to give?
No.
Oh, sorry.
That's okay.
That was wrong.
It's not wrong. It's the point is that what I want on that list, like what's one of the things on your list?
That I was, what is the question?
What are one of the, from a partner. Just one thing.
A lot of sex.
Great. So I would say what I want for myself is a lot of sex. What I want from me is a lot of sex, which means probably your fingers should be more happy. You're asking for more sex. Don't wait for it. Have it now. Okay?
Give it to yourself. Yeah.
And maybe really what you're asking is, I'd like to have more connection. Great.
Yeah.
So now it's about, that's what you want from you. You want more connection to you. That's what you're asking for. If you start meeting those things.
So I have to give it all to myself.
You don't have to. But when you start you start meeting your own needs, when you meet someone, the chemistry doesn't run it. The stories don't run it. Then you're totally free and go, I don't really need it. So I don't know if I don't need to do this because I'm good.
It's like I can see clearly.
Right. Can you compliment me in life? Or do I have to like give to you too? I don't want to give to you because you know what that's like when a guy comes to you and they're like all needy. That's not fun, right? No. I need this. I need. No. Like, yuck.
It's usually not me that they need. It's something else.
That's right. That's exactly right. Yeah. And that's what I found too. So it was a big aha for me. It was important.
Just one last question in regards to this. Would you like? Can we just have sex with a lot of different people, or is it better to stay in a relationship?
Having sex with a lot of people is not the problem. Having sex with people who align with you is really what you want to do. People who will help you be you better. So what I find is monogamy. Or just one partner is not good or bad. But honestly, all monogamy is me choosing someone to trigger me.
Yeah.
I'm choosing that person. I want to be triggered by that person.
Constantly. Yeah.
That's it. That one person, you're the one. You're the main person that's going to trigger me. And that's because I have some sort of like relationship to say yes to that. Okay? It's hard when the triggering person, it becomes violent or it becomes damaging or it becomes really hard. That's when the relationship doesn't work. But a good relationship is someone who's willing to be triggered by another person in harmony.
Yes.
Okay? Monogamy. All right? Now that also comes with monogamous rules that the majority of monogamy says sex is held within the relationship. Yeah. So no sex outside the relationship.
Exactly.
And the hope is that the sex can continue to evolve with the relationship. Most people don't do that, which is a problem. Their sex is really dramatic and fun in the beginning, honeymoon, and then it fizzles. And they don't evolve themselves, okay? So...
And then maybe it ends.
And then maybe it ends because they'll cheat or they'll want to leave or whatever, okay? So when people have sex with multiple people or they're an open style of relating, to me, that's nothing more than a choice to say, oh, wow, I really want to be triggered by a lot of people.
Is that the choice?
And also, there's a desire to be engaged by multiple energies because I'm really looking to see deeper inside. There's a deeper me that I'd like to explore. So I'm in an open relationship, but I don't hold girlfriends. I don't have all this going on. Okay.
So it's more like a theory in.
It's an availability.
Yeah.
I because of the work I do, I work with people sexually, I work with people emotionally. There's a lot of non-societal things that I do with my work that I have to let my partner be a yes to that. They have to say, I understand that you're being emotional with people, that you're being intimate with people, that's part of it. Okay. Yes. And then there's friends who I'll cuddle with, or I'll say I love you with, or I'll kiss on the lips. And there's no jealousy that comes in with this. Because I choose to be in an open relationship. And there also is a knowing that either she or I could have sex with another person outside of our relationship in a personal way that wouldn't damage our relationship because we both trust each other to choose well for our relationship. Why? Because I'm choosing to be in this relationship. Okay? Now, this is just the way I do it in my relationship. Not everyone does this. All right? Is it a
tantric way of life?
It doesn't have to be. Although a lot of people associate open relating with Tantra, but it's not. It doesn't have to be. No, you could be celibate and be Tantra. It's not a determination. So the going and being about with other lovers and having multiple sex partners is only a challenge if I'm having sex because I'm looking for someone. That's where it becomes a problem. Yeah. It really is a problem.
What do you mean, looking for someone?
Kissing a lot of frogs, looking for a prince.
Oh, looking for the right one?
Yes. And a lot of people will do this. Mm. So unfortunately, Okay, I'll give you another piece. This will explain this question a little bit better. So remember we talked about the chakras and how we went up.
Yeah.
The majority of teachings is that the chakras rise. The Kundalini, it rises up.
Yeah.
This energy. That's the masculine teaching. The feminine teaching is that it falls.
Really?
Women start at the 7th and go down. Men start at the 1st and go up. Women are already enlightened. They're already in the most high state. Their whole existence is to come to earth. You're welcome. For men, they are of earth and they're reaching for a spiritual experience. Women are bringing heaven down to earth. Men are taking earth and rising it to the heavens. Okay? So, sex, second chakra. For men, all they have to do is trust that they're not going to get killed and they can have sex. That's it. You're not going to kill me? I'm good.
Oh, man. That's easy.
I don't have to talk about it. I don't have to love. I don't even have to have a spiritual connection. Nothing. All I have to do is make sure I'm not going to die. I'm good. Okay? Yeah. For women, they have to have a spiritual connection, an intuitive connection. They have to have communication. Have to have a feeling that they're being met with deep, rich, like depth, and then they can reveal themselves, and then the waterworks begin.
Yes. That is such a good explanation.
So simple.
For that.
So simple.
Because I've heard it a lot of times, like men are with their penises and women are with their hearts and all that. But here's the societal problem. Men aren't moving. Oh. They're not raising up past their 3rd or 4th chakra stereotypically. They're not going past it. So what happens, they're not getting to their heart. They're not getting to their communication. They're not getting to their intuition. They're not getting to their spirituality. They're staying in their lower chakras, which is not bad, by the way. It's just a thing. Okay. Yeah. And by the way, it's a laziness that doesn't require anything. Women are bending so deeply to try to meet them that men don't have to move. And that's a problem. So what I notice is that women will meet someone, have a spiritual connection, have intuition, but they don't want to talk about that. They don't want to open their heart fully. They don't want to reveal who they really are, because what they think is, I'll have sex with him. He'll come up with me. He'll get there. And they don't, because men ejaculate and then they go right back down to the 1st chakra. They restart. So you actually suppress yourself in that way.
And so women are stuck. Yeah. They're stuck and they're not feeling met. And they're looking for someone to meet them. Yeah. And that's a problem. And so what I tell women is, don't compromise. Go to the heart, wait there. Just wait there. Just move there. And I know your body is longing for it. I get it. But I'm telling you, if you just stay there, just even in one date, it's fine. In the first hour, if someone meets you in the heart, you're going to know that you can move to that place.
So you're not talking about changing the man?
No.
Waiting the heart with the heart.
Just it's about not compromising the feminine's path. Yeah. And men, my hope is that they'll learn this and understand that it's okay to move past power. That they don't have to play a game. They can get up and they can be vulnerable. And when they get to that vulnerability, they have the keys to the kingdom. If men only knew this. If they only knew this. Yeah. If they could express themselves, if they could just let their emotions flow, if they could just let their visions go a little bit more, that is an aphrodisiac. That is purely what makes panties fly off people. Yeah. Because they're being met now. But it's scary for men, terrifying for men. That is terrifying for men because it's vulnerable. So they stay in the power, in this power dynamic. And then sex becomes a power thing. So what I noticed, and I put this up on Facebook recently, man, I got thrashed on it. People did not like this concept. I noticed that women give love to get sex. I'm sorry, get sex to get love. Yeah. And men give love to get sex. Yeah. Women give sex to get love. Men give love to get sex. And so what's happening is that they're passing each other in the night and no one's getting their needs met. No one's getting it. That's not happening. It's so sad. It makes me so sad. And I sit for 18 years. I've been doing this work. I've seen thousands of people all over the planet. And there's one thing, what I just told you is something that I see way too common. It makes me so sad. It doesn't have to be this way. It just doesn't. And women are sexual human beings and they're totally alive and their sex is so important and it's so nuanced and it has such divinity and spirituality in it. And men are so grounded and have such roots and their sexuality is so part of that. If they could fully come into what they're doing, it's a gift. It's It's a bridge between heaven and earth. That's the point. Very few people are playing this way. They're playing out of pleasure. Sex is equals pleasure. It's fine. Have all the sex and pleasure you want. It's great. It's awesome. I'm not saying it's bad, but I'm saying if people want to really understand what Tantra is talking about, it goes a bit deeper and it requires a little more.
So we're back to that pyramid actually. So find all of that pleasure, but kind of need it.
Make sure that you're finding joy in what you're doing. Right?
Otherwise, I guess it turns into addictions and.
Well, it can, and it also, I when I found sexual liberation, I had lots of sexual interactions that were mine, but I found very quickly that I wasn't being met by them. Mm-hmm. There was a hope that I was going to be met by them, but then I would actually have it. I'm like, it's not really what I want. No. So what was going on? So I was sitting in Playboy Mansion. I had just done a radio show for Playboy Radio, so I was invited to the mansion. Okay. And I'm hanging around, and there's playmates walking around, and lots of things happening. Yeah. And this woman comes up to me, and I mean, she is stunning. She is a very beautiful woman. Yeah. And it was early on, and I didn't have a lot of self-esteem, and I knew that this woman was way out of my league. Like, whoa, she's way beautiful. She goes, "I heard you on the radio. You're a really interesting guy." I go, "Oh, thanks." She goes, "So you do that Tantra stuff, huh?" I'm like, I do Tantra. Yeah.
I'm so cool.
Yeah. And she goes, "Oh. Do you want to go fuck?" And I didn't know her name. These are all the words we had with each other. And I said, no.
Were you tempted?
No. Because I knew that it wasn't what I wanted. It's not what would meet like the full experience. I knew that I'd probably close my eyes. I'd be able to be very fast. There wasn't a whole lot to have here. And I want depth. Yeah. I want an 8-course meal. I don't want fast food. No. And she was offering me to go to a fast food restaurant. I don't want McDonald's. I don't want that. Right? So I just basically told her, I said, I really appreciate, what you're sharing, but I'd be much more interested in just talking with you and like getting to know you. And she goes, yeah. And she goes, "Who the fuck are you?" She was like really like angry and kind of like she was,
well, she was being rejected.
She was being rejected. She thought she was being rejected. And actually what I was asking was for depth. And in her mind, sex will be the thing that helps her feel accepted, right? So she walked away angry. Yes? About an hour later, she came back to me and she goes, "Who are you? Who are you?" And we had a conversation for 2 hours.
Really?
And we just talked.
That's so good.
And she became a friend, and we stayed friends for years afterwards. And we never had sex. But it was like this place of where I knew that it wasn't a fit the way she was approaching it. And it was nothing wrong with how she was approaching it. It's just that I wanted something different. I wasn't going to compromise it. Mm-hmm. And I didn't need her to be my lover forever. I just needed more. I wanted to have more depth because that's what really gets me places. Because I've just reached that Tantra will offer, like Tantras offer me that the acts that I do are magical. Treat them like that. Treat everything I do like magic because it's magical. That's a rare thing.
Everything is magical and bliss is in everything.
It's good talking with you.
Yes, it was so good. Thank you, Shawn.
You're so
I just
welcome,
need you to make your sound of a better life. Can you do that? Do you have a sound that for you symbolizes a better life?
So good to talk to you today.
Yes, it was. I'm so glad you let me in.
Glad it worked out.
And thank you so much for listening and being part of this conversation. You are a part of it when you're listening, and you can be a part of it if you write on facebook.com/the sound of a better life. You could leave a comment on Tantra philosophy or Tantra. I mean, I thought we were just gonna talk about the philosophy of Tantra, and I guess that's what we did. But I didn't think we were going to talk so much about sex. I think that's what I'm saying. It became like a big part of the conversation. And I love that because I think it's so important to talk about sex. And like Shawn said, to even redefine what we consider to be sex and what sex means. I know there's a lot of porn-like suggestions and sexual references in the media constantly, and I don't think we need any more of that at all. But when are we really faced with the depth of sexuality? I know that for myself, I bear the imprint of my religious background. There's no confusion, in that matter. If you can't do it in front of your conservative parents, don't do it at all. Something equally silly. And you might have been raised on a very different philosophy, but regardless of that, I can assure you that my reasons for talking about sex is not to say that more sex, a better sex, is going to give you a better life. Not at all. This is just a concept that I'm trying to understand and I guess, like everything else, rethink. So yeah, I'd love to hear your thoughts, and I will leave you with the quote I was referring to in the conversation from Shawn Roop's website tantraquest.com. The simplest things in life can seem so complicated. Moving out of our own way is key to fully unlocking the secrets of Tantra. Until next time, rethink everything.